Welcome into NHL Tonight, first shift for Monday, November the 24th, 2025. EJ Radic here, and I have Mike Rupp making his first shift debut today. Welcome to the studio.
It's my first shift with you guys.
Yeah.
And I love it. Love watching what you guys have been doing here in the studio. It just feels like new digs. It's good.
Yeah, it's nice,
like it.
right? It's a little, we're comfy in here.
Yeah.
We're comfy, and you continue to knock it out on NHL Now, which will still be coming up next, but it will be without you today.
Yes.
Because you're here.
I'm
we
here.
stole you today.
Yes.
So I'm glad you're here today. And when we have somebody new, we like to have JD, our producer, come in and welcome you. So here he is.
Welcome aboard, Rupper.
Hey, JD, good to see you, buddy.
Good to be seen, man. I'm surprised that Trons doesn't have you working a double today. Not
Yeah,
making you do the little first shift, sprint over, do NHL Now right after.
Yeah, I just came in. I just went like this right to EJ, and I'm talking to him. I'm not letting anybody else see me. Don't put any ideas in anybody's heads.
Yeah. Maybe he'll come back for On the Fly later tonight.
Tonight. I'm just hanging out for 8 hours.
Come back over.
So.
JD, what do we got today?
The Blues and Rangers later with Mike Rupp.
Help us out. What do we got today?
Yeah, Lisa, show the folks what we have coming up. A big show with Rupper's debut. 3 stars of the week were announced. We'll get to them in just a moment. Jeremy Rutherford of The Athletic going to talk about the St. Louis Blues. They're here in the New York area to take on the Rangers this evening. And finally, we'll get to the Jackeye family. There's a new Wi-Fi in town. Florian made his Canadiens debut over the weekend. Mom was a little nonplussed at some of the things that went on against the Maple Leafs. But EJ, first things first, let's lead with the Avs.
Yeah, come on. Let's lead with the Colorado Avalanche. When you have a weekend where you have back-to-back shutouts against the Predators and the Hawks, I think their start to the season has been dramatic, Rupper. They have played very, very well. Both on the road, too. And, that Nashville game, we can talk about Nashville having a tough season, and they have had a tough year. They outplayed the Avalanche in that game. And if it wasn't for the goaltending, first Blackwood and then Wedgwood, Wedgwood getting the job done in Chicago last night, but Blackwood was really good against the Preds.
It almost doesn't seem fair because you got the team can score the most goals in the league.
Yeah.
It might be getting the best goaltending in the league. So, that's a pretty good recipe there, and it can come from 2 different guys. They can win all types of games right now. I don't think what we're seeing with them with 1 regulation loss, I don't believe this team has a weakness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Seems like it.
What are they lacking? I would argue, and this has been the storyline for some stretches of the beginning part of the season, the power play is not even fully cooking.
Yeah, no. They're only 24th in the league right now as we sit here today, and that's an improvement on where they were, which was really surprising. I did one of their games early in the year on the NHL Network Showcase against the Devils, and that was a focus. They weren't scoring on the power play, and even these games, they got 5 games. They have 5 overtime losses this year. That's an area 3-on-3 with McKinnon and McCarr and company, Natchez. You think they're going to win those games, so they could even be better.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because when you look at the roster, you look at the stats, there's not a ton of guys that are on their roster that you're like, oh, he's on pace for a career year. They're not. Yeah. But so I guess my point is there's room for improvement.
Yeah.
Which is kind of scary, but that's too easy to speak like that in the NHL season. They're going to go through a stretch of some sort that's going to be unlike what they normally bring. Yeah. But they'll navigate their way through. But it's impressive the way they won these 2 games this week.
And they haven't had too many, fortunately, too many injuries. Now, they didn't have Blackwood early in the year, and Scott Wedgwood had played very, very well. So, that's the good news. And, it was interesting, last night I'm scrolling through and just, looking to get news, see what's going on. And Corey Matrasak had a nice note about the difference between, and here's Corey's note here, the difference between the gap, right? Between the Avalanche and second place in the NHL standings, 7 points. It's the same gap between second place and 25th. Now, I know it's early in the season, although some will say, hey, American Thanksgiving around the corner. That's been a discussion in hockey, it's seeming like for years, about where you sit on American Thanksgiving. But normally, maybe I wouldn't think this as important, but with all the teams so tightly bunched, Mike, it seems like Colorado has separated themselves in a pretty significant way, at least early. You can see the goal differential, plus 38.
Yeah, I just think the way that the league is, and I know you guys have talked about it a ton on this show, across all hockey shows, the parity, everybody, you're getting points. We're
Yeah.
record-breaking overtime games that we're seeing this year. So, I mean, it's hard to gain ground, hard to separate, hard to do a lot of things. So that type of separation they have, it's pretty impressive because this is just a season where a few points, it's hard to make that up. Everyone seems to be getting points even on nights you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Let's get the overtime, get the point. Maybe they're playing for that in some games.
Well, when
but
games are tied late, a
Yeah.
lot of times people are, teams are saying, probably playing more conservatively,
Yeah.
don't want to lose that point.
Yeah, no, they're impressive. And I keep going back to, and we were talking about it prior coming on here, where's this in relation with Boston?
Yeah. Boston had that big regular season, and of course they ended up getting knocked out in the
Yes.
first round, but they had an unbelievable, I think through the same amount of games, Boston was 19-3-0 through 22 games. Colorado was 16-1-5. So they're, the points, it's pretty close.
Pretty close. But I think it's wild to think that that's what Boston was at a higher clip.
Yeah.
As far they had one more point at this time through 22 games. So it's just crazy to think that this Avs team, one regulation loss. Like that is impressive. I don't know if it's going to change very much over time. I mean, this could be a record-setting season. It
Yeah,
really
so
can.
we'll see. They've won 9 games in a row, and Mike Sullivan said the other day the Rangers were in there to play the Avalanche, and he said, listen, this is the best team we've played all year. And he sounded like it wasn't by a little.
Yeah.
So, so far they're rolling. We'll see if they can keep it going. But for the Avalanche, a great weekend. So they gave him the UC Soros. No goals. No goals. All right, let's take a look at the schedule for tonight. We have 7 games on the docket. As I mentioned, the Blues and Rangers at 7 o'clock. That's right here on the NHL Network. Lightning are in Philly to take on the Flyers. Devils are at home taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Caps and Jackets, an important game tonight in the Metro, 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock, Panthers and Preds in Nashville. 9 o'clock, Vegas and the Mammoth. And then 9 o'clock, the LA Kings and the Ottawa Senators. So let's talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning. Here's a note from Eric Erlinson. John Cooper said Eric Chernak is going to miss significant time, and said at least week to week. He said Braden Point is dicey for Wednesday versus Calgary. He's not playing tonight. Holmberg is closer, but not ready yet. Grovashev won't play tonight. I mean, and they have already, Hedman is out of the lineup. I mean, McDonough, this is a team that's got they've got a lot of injuries. But you know what I'll say? They're sitting here, and they have a good record. And here's a look at, somebody get out your NHL record and guidebook if you still have it and try to figure out who these guys are. But the thing, Mike, about it for me is this is where coaching and culture plays a part. They're sitting here with all these injuries. 12-7-2. They just beat the Caps the other night. They're finding ways to win games, and I think it's because John Cooper and the culture that has been established there by Julien BriseBois, ownership, they don't accept. They're not going to sit there and say, well, we have too many injuries. We're just going to, we have an excuse. They just keep playing.
No, you said culture with them, and the other team that's decimated with injuries has that culture too, and they're still winning games. Carolina.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean? Like some of those teams that's what every organization strives for.
Yeah.
To have a team that just it doesn't matter who's in the lineup. It doesn't matter. Like yes, of course it matters.
Yeah.
You don't have talent.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. We're not just going to be on this 10-game losing streak.
Yeah.
They're going to find ways. I mean, they're 7-3-0 in their last 10. There might not be a more banged-up team in the NHL
That's right.
now. And there are some other ones. But that gets me when I start thinking of other teams, because that's maybe the bar, what they're doing. I mean, they might win this division when at some point, I remember Brian Boyle and I were talking first however many games of the season. I'm like, we're talking to each other where they're not completing 5-foot passes. Like they look like out of sorts. This is before the injuries, all the injuries. So they've really found their game. I think they're a team that is going to continually rise. But you're right, the culture and the expectation of how they're supposed to play and carry out their business goes a long way. Now, that leads me to like other teams. The Devils haven't gotten there yet. Yeah. They haven't gotten there yet. I'm not going to talk about the other teams, but like that is a hockey club that's been relevant for 10 years plus, and they continue to be when there's nobody in the lineup.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
You know what's funny is they played that game against the Rangers on TNT a couple of weeks ago when they first started to have a bunch of injuries. And that night they were really decimated.
Yeah.
And they fell behind early in the game to the Rangers. And John Cooper called a timeout. And he lit in to his team. And, he later did the interview with Jackie Redmond, who was on the bench there. And he said, we want to sit here and, suck our thumbs and be sad. Like, he goes, we have to play no matter what. And I think right away, and you've been in those situations. You've been on the bench. You've been on good teams. You've been on not so good teams, right? It's not acceptable to John Cooper and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that's why they still find ways to win.
Yeah, because we're not grading on a curve here.
Yeah.
They understand, but they also know that there's a level of competition. We're not going to get beat. It doesn't matter who's in the lineup. You can win 50-50 puck battles.
Yep.
We can make the right decisions out there. We can place ourselves in the game where we have an opportunity to win. Now, if we don't, and we don't get that, we don't have the skill in the lineup to get that goal when we need it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But they can at least play themselves into a situation where they've got a shot at winning or getting a point. That's what they're doing right now. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and tonight they take on the Philadelphia Flyers team that, they've gotten off to a good start. You see the number there, 11-6-3. Now, a lot of that has been overtime and shootouts and Trevor Zegras with his magic in those shootouts. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, right now, if the season ended today, and it doesn't, but if it did, they would be in a playoff spot. So I got to give Rick Tocchet and the Flyers a lot of credit. And, Danny Vladar has come in last year. They couldn't get a save when they needed it. They had goaltender issues. They had goaltender problems, guys getting hurt. And look at the numbers for Dan Vladar. They took a chance on him coming in from Calgary, and 912 save percentage. I mean, that gets you into the Vezina conversation in the league these days.
Yeah, 100%. That's the biggest difference on our screen right now. That's the biggest difference with this year's team, and that's not to take away from the team getting better and competing harder under Rick Tocchet, which I think they certainly have. Where it goes from here, I think they're going to probably still need to get solid goaltending.
Yep.
Maybe find other ways to generate offense. I know we were just talking last year. They were one of the best rush teams. And you have to still graduate to, hey, can we get some in-zone time, have puck zone time in the offensive zone for long stretches and then end up scoring goals. Like all these different things I still have questions with them on. But at the end of the day, they're looking fine. They're getting points.
That's right.
I'm paying attention to the regulation wins that aren't
they
quite
don't have
there
very
yet.
many. They
But
have
it's still
5.
early. I mean, they're doing what they need to do to keep in the hunt.
Yeah.
Now,
and they're rallying games too.
Yes. They've got gumption. I think this group has gumption. That's something that I think they've had the last couple seasons. We'll see what happens with it. But I like that they are a team that is. The work ethic's there.
Yeah.
So, all right, could we continually just climb all season long? I don't think they came out of the gates guns blazing in first 20 games. You're like, oh my gosh, look out for the Flyers. But they're just taking little chips at it.
Yeah.
And the way you're looking right now and the way this is in the East, that might be enough to make the playoffs. You keep that going in the right direction.
Yeah, and Trevor Zegras has got more than a point a game, 21 points in 20 games. And the other night against the Devils, they had that interesting sequence in the game. They got 3 goals. I think it was in like
26 seconds.
26 seconds, right? And I wanted to ask you, have you ever been in a situation in a game where either a team you were on or a team you were playing against scored 3 goals or a bunch of goals in a short, maybe not 26 seconds? And if so, like what that could be like, positive or negative?
I want to say somewhere maybe like a minute. No, I don't think anywhere near 26 seconds.
But
like
still, even if you get 3 in a minute is a lot.
It's just you almost are just like what just happened.
Yeah.
And it's a tough. That was crazy to watch and to see how that goes down. But yeah, I mean it was just. You get some of those nights where it goes down that way, and I don't. There's no talking. It's just a weird feeling because you're feeling like this isn't supposed to happen like that.
Yeah.
And it feels like you can't stop the momentum. So it's difficult, but for them, I mean, their confidence. Oh, we can pop. You get a goal, and then basically off the next 2 ensuing face-offs, you get a goal, and then
bang, boom.
I mean, it's like that is nuts. The place was absolutely bumping after that. But it's tough if you're on the other side of those.
And the other thing too, look at their numbers. Christian Dvorak, who they brought in from Montreal, right, is like more of a checking kind of center. He's got 14 points in 20 games. He's playing a lot with Zegras, so let's help. That's the kind of thing when you're winning games and you're finding ways to be successful. Those are the kind of things that happen within your group, right?
You got to get some secondary scoring.
Yeah.
I mean, I've loved for a couple of years now. The Cates, Forrester, Brink,
Yeah.
They're just
They're inching along, getting better.
They're getting better, and then most of the time they're playing together.
Yeah.
And so then you got Michkov, who's continually you're working with trying to get him to find another level, but he can create offense. We talk about Konechny. I mean, they've got some pieces, you know. So you get some Dvorak come in there and add it. They just got layers. So it doesn't have to be the same guys. They're not designed that way.
Yeah.
Even though Trevor Zegras has been great, it doesn't have to be Trevor Zegras for them to win hockey games right now. And that's what I think has given them a chance to sustain and be in the hunt here.
Yeah, and Sean Couturier, another guy that just kind of, he gives you what he gives you night after night after night. So Flyers and Lightning tonight in Philly. Out west, the Vegas Golden Knights and the Utah Mammoth. I thought I was going to get my sound effect there in the background. All right.
That wasn't the sound effect?
Well, I do it, and then we have a little, I don't even know what it is. It sounds like it's an elephant of some sort. But there you can see the numbers, and look at that Vegas. They got all those overtime and shootout losses. They had one the other night. Marner turned it right over to Cutter Gauthier, who made quick work of the puck, put it back in the net, and gave the Ducks another overtime win. But what do you make of this one tonight between Vegas, who everybody kind of feels like, they're going to be there? And, coming up, by the way, we're getting closer to December 2nd when Carter Hart could make an appearance in goal for Vegas, and that will be interesting to see where he's at. He hasn't played in a couple of years. So, that could help their goaltending situation. But what do you make of this tonight with Utah? I think these games are always kind of statement games for Utah to try to say, hey, we're really in this.
Yeah, because I'm one of them that thinks Vegas is going to be
they're going to be there.
I have them going to the final.
Yeah, and they could. And listen, you get them in a series with the Avalanche, and we talked about the Avalanche earlier and how good the Avalanche are. But Vegas is the kind of team. That's been a rivalry for the last several years. I would love to see that series again.
Yeah, and I said Vegas before I saw Colorado playing like the Globetrotters that they are right now.
They are rolling.
But I still believe this Vegas Golden Knights team is deep. They're loaded. They'll be healthy, and I think they'll be better in goal. Whether that means it's with the guys they have or do they take a page out of the book of the Colorado Avalanche and just, hey, let's swap out two goaltenders, get two new ones in there. I think that's always going to be a work in progress in between the pipes. My bigger concern in a game like this is Utah's start this year was so great, and it's really been mediocre since.
Yeah, up and down.
And I think this is a team that has shown this through stretches. Maybe we don't usually see them with the hot start that they had. We see this stretch coming dating back to when they were in Arizona as the Coyotes, where you had stretches of games where you're like, okay, these guys look like they're turning the corner, and here we are again. So it's like at some point here, they need to park the win one, lose one, win two, lose two.
Yeah.
And they got to run off a couple.
Consistency.
Now. Just get back to playing that style. But a lot of that was the individual success. I mean, remember how hot some of their guys were early on, and it's about getting back to a good team game. But this is these games. I always have one eye on Utah because I'm like, are they for real? I thought they were. I think they are for real. I think they are a playoff team, but they've been just kind of okay for a little bit.
You said it, 3-6-3 in their last 12 games, and the thing I said at the start of the season, people were bullish on the Mammoth, and I have to see it because even going back to Arizona, I can remember that storyline. Good young players. They're coming on. This is going to be the year. They're going to make a push. It hasn't happened. They haven't been in the playoffs yet, so I have to see it.
So this year, there's been some really good surprising teams. There's been some good teams that we thought were going to be good that are not good. But let's say, for an example, I thought Montreal is going to take a step back this year. They came out just came out unbelievable to start the season.
Won a lot of overtime games.
Now we're starting to see them kind of come back down. Pittsburgh, same thing.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to see them come back a little bit. Is Utah that? I don't think they're that.
No.
I think they're more than that. But, I mean, they've got to have consistency. They've got to find ways to get through the downward parts of a season, and that's happening kind of for them right now.
Yeah, and you know what? In the immortal words of Matt Duchene, the good teams aren't as good as they are at this stage of the season, as they're going to be, and the bad teams aren't as bad as they're going to be. We're going to find out, and that's why we're here. That's why we're watching, and we're getting into that time of year when teams need to kind of get into the next gear and take it up a notch in a really tough season with a lot of games piled on top of each other. We shall see. Coming up, we got the 3 stars of the week. We've had some great performances. Who makes the list? 3 stars next on First Shift. time for the 3 stars of the week presented by Geico. We've got a good trio for you this week. Macklin Celebrini. I love this kid. I love whenever the Sharks are on, if I'm watching, I just love watching him play. Great young player, 3rd star. Zach Werenski, 2nd star of the week, did the Jackets and Red Wings for NHL Network Showcase on Saturday. When you watch this guy, game in and game out, what a brilliant player. And then the 1st star, Rasmus Andersson, 9 points in 4 games for the Calgary Flames. Been a tough go for the Flames this year, but Rupper, Rasmus Andersson, he's a name we are going to be talking about for the next several weeks, maybe months, leading up to the trade deadline. Contract is up. Pretty clear Calgary's going to move him. He's only 4.5 against the cap right now, so that's really affordable as in a year where the cap has gone up a little bit. Right shot defenseman. Where do you think? I know Toronto was dying to get him. I just think there's going to be so many suitors. You are going to have the assets to make the trade happen.
Yeah, and this type of production that he's given will
I
only
know
help
more
the
than you even imagine.
Every team, if you're going into the playoffs, and some teams would need Rasmus Andersson to be a top 4 defenseman. Some teams may look at it and be like, oh, maybe the way our decor is aligned, maybe we can find ways to make him a little more middle defenseman in our group. I mean, he could do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
That's what makes him so desirable for teams. He's got a little edge to his game, too. Gets under the skin of the opponent. So that narrative or adjective that I just used to explain him makes me think the Florida Panthers should be a really good one. Just kind of fit right into what they do.
Well, they do a lot of that kind
and
of
they've
stuff.
kind of graduated into the Vegas Golden Knights territory, who is another team I think would be very
right
interested.
shot defenseman.
Where they just make these big moves. And these moves where you don't maybe think they have room, but they find ways to make room. But Rasmus Andersson would be a huge asset to any playoff team. Playoff team. So I know they keep saying they want Nazem Kadri part of the Flames. He's the one up front. They've got some pretty desirable pieces. Where can they do it? Can they drive this market up for those guys? I think there's going to be a market there, and I don't know if they're going to do it sooner or later, closer to deadline.
Yeah, Blake Coleman is another guy.
Blake Coleman,
They got a couple of guys that would be really
like key guys for playoff
that could
teams.
help your team be successful. I mean, Kadri won a Stanley Cup. Coleman has won a couple of Stanley Cups. I mean, these are players that could really be important. And Craig Conroy there, he's managing a couple things. He's trying to rebuild. And I do believe Gavin McKenna is a very highly sought-after draft eligible this year. So the Flames, they could try to get that trifecta of good things where you end up last, you end up with the first pick, and then you end up moving some of these guys out for other young assets or draft picks to make your team better down the road. And they got a new rink coming in there in a couple of years.
Yeah, and it's always so tough, though, because we hear the Calgary Flames talk about, I mean, in Nazem Kadri's situation, we want Nazem Kadri's. We need more, the quote was, we need more Nazem Kadri's.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just to drive up that price. I mean, everybody wants him. They want him, but at the end of the day, this is a team that even though they've been playing well this week, they're a team that needs to do the right thing moving forward, and that's probably to move these guys for assets.
Yeah, I think that's what will likely end up happening. They could do very, very well. We'll see with Rasmus Andersson, the 1st star of the week. When we come back, it's been a year since Chris Drury sent out that memo starting that fire sale in New York. They've made changes, but are they any better? We'll talk about the Rangers next on First Shift.
3 Stars of the Week is presented by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico.
The Blues. They've had the Blues for most of the season, but a little better now. I mean, last 10 games.
Lighter shade
A
of
lighter shade of blue, yeah. I mean, 2-4. It's a little better, getting points in 8 of the last 10 games. Still probably giving up more than they want, not scoring as much as they'd like. But to discuss the Blues on their current road trip, we bring in Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic. Jeremy, let me just start here. I mean, this was a road trip. I know that when it started, Jim Montgomery, the team, they were talking about, hey, it'll be good to get out on the road for 5 days. They have a bad loss to Vegas, leaving St. Louis on a Saturday night. Good to get on the road, a little bonding. Have things been better so far on this trip? I mean, they've gotten points in all 3 of the previous games. They got 2 more games to play on the trip.
Yeah, I'll leave it to you, EJ, to say that the Blues have the blues this season. That's certainly been the case. But he's right. Jim Montgomery said that going into the road trip, that this would be good for the team. They haven't had a lot of extended road time this year, just a couple 1-2 game trips. But this is a long one, 5 games, 10 days. And even though they started off with a couple of overtime losses, they've started to put their team game together a little bit. Getting Jake Neighbors back from the injury list, that certainly helps. So overtime losses in Toronto and Philadelphia, and the Philadelphia one hurts because they had a 2-0 lead. That's the third time in against Philadelphia in just the last 2 weeks that they've blown a 2-0 lead against the Flyers. But they get back on the winning track in the last game, and now they head into New York feeling pretty good about themselves.
Jeremy, what's been better in particular? Is it just finding ways? Is it, I mean, like you mentioned, the one game maybe losing your way in some regards to get to overtime in the first place, but what has been the biggest thing that's changed?
Well, I think they're starting to play more competitive. Jim Montgomery said this morning at the Garden that they're starting to win more than 50% of their one-on-one battles. For the early part of the season, that wasn't the case. They were also finding ways to lose. Look, they were up 4-0 on the Detroit Red Wings and lost a game 6-4. Multiple 2-goal leads that have been blown, and then the goaltending this year has been, not great. So I think that now that they got Jake Neighbors back, who, guys, listen, he missed 12 games and he's still tied for the team lead with 6 goals on this team. They have 4 guys with 6 goals. Jake Neighbors missed 12 games, and he's still on that list. They got him back. That's been a big bonus.
Let me ask you about Jordan Kyrou because, he's been a guy that's been in St. Louis since the start of his career. He's had some really good moments there. They've paid him pretty significantly on a long-term contract. Yet now he seems to have had issues with a couple of different coaches now in these last couple of years, and I hear his name in trade rumors again. They might be willing to move him. I mean, you watch all the games. I mean, what are you seeing from Kyrou, and why is he in this situation where they're thinking about, hey, if we could get a good deal, maybe we'd move him?
Yeah, EJ, I think you can look at Jordan Kyrou and his situation 2 ways. You look at it like this. He hasn't been bad this year. He has 6 goals, 13 points in 21 games, so the statistics aren't great, but it hasn't been a great year for the team. You also look at 6 years left on that contract at $8.125 million. So if he sniffs 40 goals each year, that's well worth the $8 million with that cap going up and what we're seeing some of these guys get paid. I think the question becomes, do the St. Louis Blues believe that they can win in the playoffs with Jordan Kyrou being one of your leaders? If they answer that question with a no, then the 8.125 for the next 6 years doesn't necessarily matter. They would entertain offers. So,
Jerry, let me just stop you for a second. I want to ask you, you say, they think you can win in the playoffs and be one of your leaders. Is this like a thing where they just think like a character issue or because again, I mean, they were willing to commit significant money to this guy, and then not too long after, we had a falling out, and like your point, he's not been awful, but it just seems odd.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that when they gave he and Robert Thomas the matching contracts, you're talking 8 years, $65 million, it was a little bit of a projection into who they could become, and I think Kyrou has shown 2 37-goal seasons that he can become that guy. But I think the question that you're asking there, EJ, is, does he have the grit to be a playoff player? And not all those top-end guys do. But does he have the ability to step up and make the play when the team needs it? And I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying if the Blues, with Alex Steen coming in to take over for Doug Armstrong, have those questions about that player, then I think that now could be the time where you capitalize on some potential interest around the league.
Jeremy, let me lean into my mic on this one because this is really important. I will say, full transparency, Eej, I picked the St. Louis Blues to win the Central this year.
Yeah.
And
that is full transparency.
Not looking great right now.
Yeah,
not looking
listen,
great.
I thought they'd be a really good team, too. I don't know if I had them to win the division, but I thought they'd be way better.
So a lot of questions have come up. Jordan Kyrou being one that EJ just asked about. The other one I thought is what we saw last year and what this team I think can be, even with the roster the way it's constructed. I was thinking, well, you got Joel Hofer, you've got Jordan Binnington. Now all of a sudden there's a luxury of talent at the goaltending position where I'm like, oh, you can move one of them, but it seems like Hofer's that goalie of the future. So this is a nice, again, luxury that the team has. Is that still the same feeling the way the season's gone for both these guys?
Yes, I think it's a fair question. I think going into the season, that Jordan Binnington's got 2 years left on his deal, this and another. and Joel Hofer looks like he's the heir apparent to be the number one. And I think if he had played better early on this season, then it's a no-brainer. Yes, this is the guy who's eventually going to take over for Jordan Binnington. But Hofer did not play well. It was, the biggest hiccup of his young career so far. Really struggled. His numbers are going to be down all year. It's going to take a long time to get him back up. He has played a little bit better lately, but I think it raised questions maybe on the outside in terms of, can Joel Hofer be that guy? Are the Blues in a position where they could trade Jordan Binnington if they wanted to before the contract's up, or not re-sign him in 2 years? So I think from the outside, there's probably a little bit of question, but I believe from the inside, the Blues perspective, they still see Joel Hofer as a capable number 1A goaltender in the league. You just don't know when that time's going to be.
Let me ask you about the captain there, Brayden Schenn, because he's been such an important piece of the puzzle for the St. Louis Blues over the years. And last year, I know there was a lot of discussion with the Toronto Maple Leafs and maybe some other teams about a trade. The Blues decided to hold on to him. They had a good year. They made the playoffs. This year, it seems like it's a struggle. He's been a big minus, but you know what? You could see that happening. He's probably on the ice in situations where they're chasing games. I mean, what do you see in his play, or do you think that, in retrospect, maybe the time to cut bait might have been last year?
Yeah, it might have been, but he wanted to stay, and he made that known. I don't want to go as far as to say he invoked his no-trade clause, but the day of the trade deadline, I watched Jim Montgomery shake Brayden Schenn's hand and say, "I'm glad that you're still here."
Yeah.
And Brayden Schenn said, "Me too." So I think that definitely was a situation where he wanted to stay. Toronto was a team. Ottawa was another team that I heard might have been close on a deal for Brayden Schenn. Things have not gone well for the team we've talked about. For Brayden Schenn, he just got on the board last game, his first goal in 12 games, so it's not been a great year offensively for him. But I believe in Brayden Schenn as a leader on a team. I think that if there were teams interested around the league and they wanted to pluck him out of St. Louis and put him on their third line center, left wing, I think he can be a second line player too if you need. But on a contender, if he's just going in to fill in a hole with his leadership, what he's been able to show here in St. Louis when things haven't been great, I think he'd be a perfect pickup for a team around the league. And I'm also hearing, EJ and Rupper, that there might be some interest on Brayden Schenn's part to do that this year, whereas last year he didn't want to.
It's interesting I think this year when you look at the standings, and EJ and I were just talking about this off camera, we've had some historically bad starts for some teams, and you're still kind of in it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to look at glass half full. So I want to ask you this. For a team that only has 7 regulation wins, which is not really that good up to this point, second worst goal differential in the league by a significant margin, them in Nashville, St. Louis Blues are right in this mix. Where do they think they're at? I mean, you're getting some points in games right now, finding ways. Is this just, let's see what the next month shows us before we really decide what to do with this group?
Well, let me start off by saying this. In 2018, after they went from last place to the Stanley Cup, I said that I would never write where I count out a team again. And then what happened last year before the Four Nations tournament, here I was counting out the Blues again, and they made it. So I don't know if I can't learn my lesson in terms of counting teams out.
They're testing you.
What.
They're testing you a lot.
But you're right, and so they've looked better. It is only November. There is the statistic about Thanksgiving, and Jim Montgomery talked about that today. He said, yeah, it's been proven time and time again that, if you're not sitting in a good spot by the holiday, then it's going to be tough. But, he said he likes the way this team is playing. So what do they think? I think they believe that they can jump back in this. And the thing is, you're only 4 or 5 points out of a wild card spot at any given time, but you got a lot of teams to jump. So do they feel like they have the horses to get back into this and make a run like they did last year? There's still a lot more time than there was last season, and they did it. I think the key question will be, will they entertain trade offers? Will Brayden Schenn still be a Blue? Jordan Kyrou? What direction is the team going to go? That's obviously going to determine whether this team can get back in it.
Well, just as an example of how things change and how we lose track of time, it was a year ago today that Jim Montgomery was hired to take over the St. Louis Blues. I mean, you've watched this year. I thought he did a really good year last year, kind of getting that team back on track. He had the good fortune of having some players come back into the lineup that kind of matched up with his time arriving in St. Louis. But what do you think Monty is with this group right now?
Yeah, he said today that it's been a roller coaster. It was Madison Square Garden, his first game with the Blues after he took over for Drew Bannister. So it really felt, similar seeing him there talking today about this. He called it a roller coaster, and he's right. That's the perfect word. To go from, you get the coach bump, you played pretty well when he came on, and then they slipped a little bit, and then they put it together after the Four Nations, and now the bad start. But I think the foundation is here. So Jim Montgomery's got a 5-year deal. They've got some good pieces with a Jimmy Snuggerud, Dalibor Dvorsky, who's shown really well, and some other first-round draft picks on the way. I think if you're a Blues fan, you have to look big picture, and having Jim Montgomery here to lead this group for a while, I think is probably what excites them the most.
All right, so the Blues and Rangers tonight at the Garden. That one will be right here on the NHL Network. Jeremy, thanks so much for the time today. I will see you over at the Garden.
All right, we'll see you there.
All right, Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic does a great job covering the Blues. Here's a tweet from Vince Mercogliano. Today marks 1 year since Chris Drury hit send on the league-wide memo that began the Rangers fire sale and kind of tanked their season. The merits of that decision will be debated for years, but 12 months later, it's hard to find any tangible progress, and you can find that column at The Athletic as well. But Rupper, I'll ask you, we're both here in New York. You played for the New York Rangers. You see them quite a bit. It doesn't seem like they're really any further along than they were. Now, I think Mike Sullivan is doing a really good job. I think they're playing better defensively for sure. But it just seems like they're not generating a lot, and they've had this weird split of being so bad at home and being better on the road. Are they any better than they were this time last year?
Yeah, I was saying yes, even when, because a lot of that was the weird home lack of production, all that stuff.
1-7-1 at home.
But they were dominant on the road. They were like 9-1 on the road. They're not now. They've lost 3 in a row this road trip.
Right.
So it's like, and it's not that fragile where it's going to change that quickly, but that at least was keeping them alive, keeping them afloat. Now that's gone. So now there's a little more pressure on home ice tonight against another team that's really struggling in the Blues. So yeah, I do think they are better. I think they are a better team than last year. How much? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea how much better, because they are defending. They're giving themselves a chance to. There are a lot of one-goal games.
Yep.
They're in these games.
The goalies have been good for the most
Yes.
part, as we expect with Shesterkin, and then Quick has played excellent in the games he's been called upon.
Yeah, so I don't know, Each. I think they're better.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden now they can't score,
Yeah.
and they're having some issues. So I don't know where this plays out and if I feel this way in a month. But right now, to this point, I think they are a better team. Doesn't look like it in the standings.
Yeah.
But again, the same thing we always say, what I just said about St. Louis. They're fine.
3-game winning streak.
If you could turn it if you could turn it around, and that's always hard to say, because for a team that's been really unable to find their footing,
especially at home.
yes, it's too easy to be like, oh well, if they go,
They have to
7-3
do it,
in the
right?
next-
They have to do it. Yeah, they
and
have
that
to
starts
do
with
it.
like a deciding victory at home.
Yeah.
Like that's the first thing. Like if they come out and take care of business, and then roll that into something else. I think they can. I think they can make the playoffs still. I do believe that.
Let me ask you this: JT Miller, they acquired him from Vancouver. There was, the thing, all the stuff in Vancouver went on him and Pettersson. We're not there. We don't know exactly what happened, but like he comes here and. Listen, I'm a big JT Miller fan. I think you are too. We've talked about him in the past. Like he's a horse. When he's going, he can take you places because he's just a competitor. But now he's the captain. He's another year older. I just think that, maybe he's trying to do too much. Now he's out. He's injured. He's only got the 6 goals, 12 points in 22 games. He's their captain. He's a guy they think he was a guy that had 100 points one year. I don't know if he's necessarily that guy. Maybe he's an 80-point guy, but he's certainly not on pace for that right now. They're going to need him to not only lead better, but also to produce.
Yeah, I think they need him healthy. And
Yeah.
I'm not making any excuses for
And I
JT
think he
Miller.
had a little ding. He was dinged up in camp.
Yeah, he was.
So maybe that was part of it.
I believe he was dinged up, and I don't know. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
to what level or how bad it's bothering him, but he doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
But he's also had moments that JT Miller has.
Yeah.
And we've seen these moments, and that one that kind of went viral with Ranger fans the other day against Vegas. Unfortunately, we've seen moments like that when he was a Ranger the first time,
Yeah.
when he played in Tampa, when he played
Even in
Vancouver.
Vancouver, yeah.
So he has some of those kind of controller unplugged moments.
Yeah.
And but he also
he runs hot.
but he also has fiery moments.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him and what makes him desirable for teams is you need him to prod on and be that fire starter.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen it. So I don't know if it's injury based or what it is, but they made this deal to have him be a fire starter on this team. Slap the C on his sweater to be a fire starter on this team. hasn't happened yet. And I think that whether it's his health or whatever it is, they need him to be that because he hasn't been so far.
Yeah, not expected to play tonight against St. Louis at the Garden. Rangers and Blues tonight. You got that one right here on the NHL Network, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. When we come back, Mike Rupp is here for the first time, so of course we have to play a little first word. That was a sweet goal yesterday. We're going to talk about that one. And how about I like this, these beer Sabres. They're fired up in Buffalo. First word next on First Shift. Well, in honor of Mike Rupp's first appearance on First Shift, we got to play a little game of First Word. So we bring in JD. You're back. Let's get it going.
We had to dive into our stable of dumb games with Rupper in the house. So here we go.
Absolutely.
Rupper, first word. This is a little word association game. First word that comes to mind on a couple of different news items.
Okay.
Lisa, to font 3, please. Did you know, Rupper, since January 1st of last year, this calendar year, nobody in the NHL has more goals than Morgan Geekie. I actually saw earlier, no Canadian has more goals than Morgan Geekie, actually. Sidney Crosby's second to Morgan. Perhaps a little Olympic chatter, but that's for a later date. First word on Morgan Geekie leading the NHL in goals this calendar year, Rupper.
Booming. Hey, he's getting it done right now.
He is.
Has been getting it done. He does have a boomer of a shot, but it's impressive. Taking advantage of an opportunity. I mean, I don't think anybody saw this coming with him, but it's each. Like, I don't know what to say, but these guys have something special, him and David Pastrnak together, and this guy he has been an absolute player for the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, I will say this. I when he came into the league in Carolina before he even went to Seattle, I kind of liked him. Mm-hmm. So I thought he was a good player, but I have to say my word would be shocking. It's shocking to me. I mean, like that, of all those guys on the board, he's got more goals than anybody since January 1st. Shocking, JD. Shocking.
Good words. Booming, Rupper. You came to play with
That's right.
first word.
He did.
All right, EJ, you were on the call of the NHL Network showcase yesterday, and Beck Malenstein scored a dazzler. Lisa, hit him with the video and W here.
Yeah, this was amazing.
First word on Beck Malenstein's goal.
To me, I'm going to say it was wonderful because, like, this is a fourth-line guy, and he comes in and makes a Connor McDavid-like play and scores. I mean, I just think, though you don't see that every day for the guys who put in the work, look at him. Celebrate, baby! That's a wonderful moment. Yeah, he was like, what was that?
Yeah, those moments, man. Like, you see it right there on his face.
I know.
I'm gonna go with actually a name. I'm gonna go Barry. So all you young people at home don't probably know who Barry Sanders is. That looked like a Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Like just a lateral movement. Like it looks exactly. Just jumps to your left or right in this left in this situation. I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Just on a dime. That was nice.
That was
a nice
pretty
play.
soon. Now, Sebastian Aho was back defending, and, he probably knew that, but still, like, if Connor McDavid scores that goal, we're giving it we're giving it like, wow, look at Connor McDavid. We certainly don't expect it to be Beck Malenstein, so congratulations to the Sabre winger. It's nice. Wonderful.
Rupper's up 2-0 here with Barry Sanders reference, too.
That's a good one.
You're bringing
That's
some
a good
class
one.
to the show
but
today.
You're always against me, so I have no chance ever to win with these things.
Exactly. But, I mean, nobody's really keeping score.
That's true.
There
Except
might
you.
be one shifty out there who's got a pen and pad. Like, okay, so the official standings update. Anyway, Lisa, tag board here. Did you guys see this one from Buffalo? They got the Beer Sabres, made their debut on Friday. The best souvenir cup going. You can get a Labatt in a Sabre cup. What'd they do that night? Show them fun, too. They went out and put up 9 against the Chicago Blackhawks. I think it's good mojo here. Rupper, first word on the Beer Sabres.
Whoa. That's not the word. That was my noise I was making. That looks incredible. I'm going to say legendary. That is a legendary.
I like that word.
That's a legendary drinking device for a sporting event.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that word for that. It's a good one. The Sabres put up 9. They probably weren't the only ones who put up 9 that night. I'm sure there was a lot.
They would have put that. Some people put down 9.
Yeah,
Sabres.
yeah, maybe more. Maybe more. I'm going to say cheers. Cheers.
Yes.
Because it's a great idea, too. So I got to give the Sabres management people a lot of credit. I think that, we have a resident Sabres fan in the house here, and she reports that her dad goes to all the games and liked the idea as well. So there you go. All right.
Here comes the Sabres
There
fan.
she is. There she is. All right. I love that. I love that.
Her dad can confirm the Beer Sabres are very fun.
There you go.
Last one for you guys. There were many words said about this one in the bullpen. How about New Jersey Devil star, a.k.a. random guy with a cast on his arm, Jack Hughes, out on a date in the Village with Tate McRae? EJ, I know you're dying for this one. First word.
All right. All right. Lisa, you're going to have to give me the single, I think, for this one. You're going to have to dial me up here. Interesting. Very interesting.
Very dramatic, too.
That's
I
it.
love it. That's it.
Interesting. All right. Thank you,
yeah.
Lisa. All right.
I don't know what to do after that
I
one.
got nothing. It's interesting.
I'm going to say
Talented young girl.
plasticware. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Hey,
T-shirt?
T-shirt. I'll say maybe I'll use the same word. Legendary.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll say legendary. This is probably more deserving.
Yeah.
Jack Hughes living his best life.
Oh boy. Hey, go get him, Jack. He's out injured. He's got to, you got to fill your time somehow.
Yeah.
She's really
you know what's
talented.
funny though? We haven't talked about Jack Hughes in a while, so it's good to see him.
Good to see him out. The Devils, they need to get a win tonight. They're playing the Red Wings. They've been struggling without him. Hey, there's another Jack-Eye in town in Montreal. We're going to talk about Florian Jack-Eye and his debut. That's next. Well. There's another Jack-Eye in town. Florian Jack-Eye. And he makes his NHL debut, and why not? Slugging it out with Dakota Mervis. And there's his brother on the bench, Arbor. Yeah. The parents. His mother seems like a little not as revved up. I think Dad just realized Mom's not really reacting. Maybe I should dial it back. You have any situations like that, family members at your games? Because you got into a bunch of fights over the time.
Yeah, probably really.
Yeah.
Moms don't really.
They don't
I
like
don't
to
know.
see
My
their
mom
boys.
never jumped up and was like, "Yeah, get up." Like, I think she was more like peeking through her fingers,
Yeah.
It's a good, pretty normal situation. Big game, big first game by him though.
Yeah,
Nice.
that was a debut.
Yes.
Against the Toronto Maple
Yeah,
Leafs.
two storied franchises.
Saturday night, hockey night in
Brothers on the
Canada.
squad, your parents up in the stands.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
Good
awesome.
luck, Florian, and I hope we see a lot more of you moving forward. That's the end of the show today. NHL Now is next. Thank you, Mike Grubb.
Thank you.
Legendary.
Legendary.
Legendary.